Who's up for some witchcraft, my friends? Right? Are you ready to get your conjure on? Today is week 4, day 7. By now, you should be mixing witchcraft. You should be blending your herbs. You should be creating your spellcraft. You should be doing all of the things, right? And so, if you've been following along on this wonderful challenge, there is a recipe book that is available out there and up and on Amazon.com. It goes through all 30 weeks, I believe it is. It's way longer than 30 weeks. It's nuts. It's 3 months, 4 months technically with this last challenge. It's insane. There's 105 different herbal blends in there. But you'll find today that I was going to be doing like a Maleen Eyebright Cat's Claw thing to do let's draw your future sight, right? No. Today we're going to switch this shit up. Heads up, Mike, you made it. Welcome, buddy. All right. So today we're going to be using black walnut. We're going to be using myrrh. We're going to be using mullein, and we are going to be using the offering tobacco. Okay. So now this stuff will pack a punch when you are punching through holes in the dimensional barriers, right? So as we get up into the holiday season, as we get close to the time of the solstice, right? What does that actually do for witchcraft? Well, seeing as it is the dark period of the year, and the dark period of the year becomes the light period of the year as we move out of the darkness of winter and towards the light of summer, right? We have the opportunity to channel spirits of both persuasions, okay? And so, back in 2012, I was gifted with a beautiful ritual to be able to go and meet the Netcher, right? It came out of the British Museum, and the ritual was prepared for me by a group of witches that actually made the red beer, and so I went and did the offerings and psychically connected to the galactic center because that was, 2012. It was yay for the celestial alignments. And so by doing that and understanding that the Netcher are the intelligences of creation, and it's like the black hole is a celestial record of all life that is, and so if you can detach your emotions for just a moment and think that what we are detaching from space-time when we recreate it, it doesn't matter how many times we go, how many times we live, how many times we die, we are ourselves. It's just the record that we leave for others as a matter of what we do. So that way, if they want to have words with our spirit later after our death, or if they want to figure out what it is that made us so weird in the first place, they have the understanding that the elements that we are connecting with are much, much deeper than all that, okay? So that's why we use the tobacco as our first base. Now, this stuff isn't the stuff that you get in a cigarette. This is stuff that comes out of a shaman supply. So it doesn't have all the chemicals on it. So you want to be careful with your allergies and stuff because it is a nightshade and it'll fuck you up. The black walnut is, again, you want to mind your allergies with this stuff. So all of you, watch your allergies if you're pregnant people that are in the comments, I love you. Keep it up. Right? Because you remind others that this stuff is dangerous. But this stuff is for witchcraft, not for eating. This stuff is for inks, paints, and other things. So y'all be fucking careful. Because, as much as I love your posts, you do tend to sound like a nag. But in the best possible way, because people are stupid, and it is the internet, and this is 2022, and if people, accidentally have a cough out in public, they're like, oh my god, right? No, I'm trying to be funny. If that's not funny, I'm sorry, I apologize, I don't mean to offend you, but people, these are dangerous, right? Just because it works in a church, just because you're doing it in a ritual ceremony, and you might think it's all edgy to be all let's keep all the windows and doors shut so that there's nothing that can come in. And we'll choke ourselves on tobacco ingredients, or we'll choke ourselves with incense. And it's no. Dude, chill. You can crack a window. The spirits need to get in somehow anyway. Be like Santa. Have a fireplace going. Well, not the fireplace going, but but I mean, you've got the draft going. You've got the outside connections inside, right? So that's what we're doing. So, In the law of narration, we have set our offerings to call the spirits with the tobacco. We have created the carrier of wishes with the black walnut. We have augmented the ingredients with the myrrh. And the mullein connects to the spirit world again because it's also the quick way to get to spirit connection through the graveyard, right? Because technically, like, some ancestral lore on this stuff was that it used to connect to the plants. So as I grind this down, we're going to think, and we're going to talk, and we're going to have a little bit of a chat on why it is that we're creating a blend like this in the first place. Why do we want to connect with the spirits in this particular way? And I'd love to see it in the chat. Why would you use this blend? You know, what would your uses be? You're calling spirits, you're augmenting the ingredients, and you're giving it a gateway through which to conjure them, right? And so, what does that do? What is that going to do? Just drop a good piece of that. And now the thing is today, it's like if you notice, I didn't invite the spirits in. I didn't light the incense. I didn't light the candles yet. Why? Is because while that may be the intent of my other blends, this one will do it on its own. This one will change the environment if you light on fire, if you do these sorts of things. But because of the ingredients, this is one of those, use this outdoors, folks. Like, if you're gonna invite the spirits into a space, you want to have a nice ritual circle outside, right? Like I have a little chimney pot like out on my patio. It's really pretty. And in it, I'm going to be doing some fire rituals for the solstice, right? Like that way I don't burn everything down. And this is going to be one of the blends that I use to be a carrier for those spirits. So it's for a couple of purposes, right? It's like I'm going to be inviting the spirits of the lost, the spirits that are just wandering around. And at the same time, I'll be conjuring the spirits of the land and inviting them to come and bless some of the tools that I've been working with, right? And so here's the thing, is like witchcraft and magic is the center point of my life, right? Like in my living room, I've got a wall for the altar. I've got books over here. In the very center is my conjuration cauldron, right? Like that's the keynote of what I do. Like there is not a giant TV. Like I don't have a TV. Like it doesn't work. Like it's magic. Like all day long, right? I'm lucky if I get a couple hours a day to watch my Netflix. But this stuff is for causing change in other people's worlds, causing change in their lives. So as you go through and you're grinding this stuff down, you realize that this is going to cause some change. You realize that this is going to invite their spirits in as well as your own, right? And so you can use it as a means to connect to those folks and their spirit, right? And this is one of those things where if this was not alive, it would be like scene cut, and then poof, there's a powder, and then we go into other things, right? Like this is, we're pre-batching stuff for a cooking show on Conjure, right? And that's another thing. Like there are some people out there with the holiday season, be careful what you eat from who, because they will put some weird shit in their food. Like, just to be real. Like, there was a gal that, well, there's a couple of people that would either make the cakes of light with the menses, and they would eat those on the solstices, or they would mix pubic hair or whatever into their partner's food and stuff like that to further bond the relationship and enforce the spiritual subjugation of that person and basically force the relationship. Like it's shady. Don't be that shady. Yeah, I know it's old hoodoo. Yes, I know it works. Yes, you can do that sort of thing, but don't be that person. Don't be that witch, because everybody will make fun of you. Like, yeah, we're not going to have any of your brownies. Why? We know they're magic. Why are they magic? Because you'll probably peed in it. Like, to be real, like that extra spice, not necessarily a good thing. Like, if you ever see somebody who's got like just the one dessert that's set aside for just them, like, eye that shit, because like, that could be some shady. No. So, you know, it's like you want to incorporate magic into your food. You want to create a healthy environment for the people that are going to consume your stuff, right? And you don't want to poison them, right? Like a buddy of mine, he's witnessed it firsthand. Like, he saw this guy basically poison everybody at a pagan event. Because, like, this guy has, like, some really terrible energy. And, yeah, ended up just, like, anybody who ate the food just got that carryover of nasty. Like, whatever he did, just took out, like, just a bunch of different type of magicians. Like, this is why you have to watch your work. Like, watch your vibes, guys. Like, it is a big deal. Because when you start dealing with consumables, when you start going to holiday parties, or when you start thinking about these kinds of things for others, is that, you know, you get into some of those, like, don't be that guy. You know, like, just don't. And so, as you're using these ingredients, you know, it's like you got to remember, like, if you used to sleep beneath the walnut tree, if you're out in the woods and you actually, like, manage to find one, you know, if you actually see woods, like, be careful, because it drops a poison. Like, it kills all the things that are not itself around it, right? So while the walnut shell itself is a carrier of wishes, the tree itself is a protector of those wishes, of those desires, of that spirit, right? And so this blend carries extra layers to it if you understand the history and the properties of the tree itself, right? And our ancestors used to bury people beneath the trees that corresponded to them. Like, they would connect to the tree, and then that would be the ancestor tree. So when you call on the ancestor spirit of the walnut tree, or the mullein tree, or the mullein fields, right? You're calling on specific entities that certain cultures still have names for, right? But you're using an individual plant, so that way, in this case, you're not calling on the entire lineage of that thing. You're calling upon your relationship to it. You're calling upon the opportunity for it to be formed in a new way. And again, this is why you go back and you add grain alcohol to it, or like Everclear and things like that, is because you add a spirit back to it, so that way when you burn it, or when you add it as a tincture or something like that, you're creating these things which give it spirit, give it body, release the spirit inside, so that there's a scent to it. There is a new type of connection for it. And so it's, as you go through, as we develop these kinds of things, right? Like, we got to be, you know, I can't stress this enough. Like, I want you to be able to buy these ingredients. I want you to be able to mix these ingredients. I want you to be able to experience the benefits of these ingredients. But at the same time, I want you to do it safely. Right? So, well, that actually is coming along pretty good. Normally, like, the black walnut is a bear to grind down because it's so fibrous and so thick. But the reason I'm using a stone mortar instead of the porcelain one is because this thing just shreds through the more fibrous ingredients and keeps it from getting all screwy. So it works out pretty good, you know. We haven't started screwing around with, like, the lavender yet, and, you know, that stuff gets extra fluffy. But the nice thing about the stone mortars are that they will just shred it. I don't advise that you get one of those soapstone ones. Those are pretty much trash. Good for resins, but I'm not a fan of those. Like, get you one made for some actual, like, working. Like, porcelain is good. I got mine at a Scientific Supply. Like I said, like, I got registered as an Amazon seller, so now I can, like, start actually, like, ordering ingredients and building out, batching these spell kits and stuff for folks. So that way it's like I can figure out, all right, this mortar is going to work, and now we can stock our sales floor with it. Now we can, you know, like, now I can build out an alchemy booth that can be taken around to different, you know, different farmers markets and stuff, or we set up in a park or vend out there, you know. That way, again, people can have access to the magic we can get a community thing going, and it can be a brick and mortar thing. But like I said, guys, this is designed to tap into the spirit. This is designed to call those spirits and to augment those spirits. So as you're doing this, you want to think about it. Like, why are you doing this? I'm doing this to connect to you guys. I'm doing this to connect to your spirits, so that way you get an elevation from it, so that way you have tools in your arsenal, so that way when you go to use these kinds of blends that are made specifically for the Spell a Day community, that there is a complete grimoire of foundational magic that we can create and conjure for each other's purposes, right? Like, if you need a thing, well, then I've got now 4 weeks and 7 days, almost 5 weeks tomorrow, right, of all these different spell ingredients that we can use to make your life a little bit easier, to invite a different type of current. So as we go in and we deal with things like the 72 or the 50 names, if you want to get into the Simon Necronomicon, or, you know, it's like, it doesn't matter where the stuff comes from initially, if you can figure out how to make it work with today's ingredients, right? Like, that's the thing, is like, you've got conjured from the books that's missing parts. You've got ingredients today that there's so many ingredients available for the occultist to use that there's not necessarily a limit on what it is we can do with it, just so long as we know the order of operations and applications of it. So that's why, again, it's like, as I do this, the conversation that I have with y'all is specific to what the energy that I'm pulling out of this blend as its possibility could do. It's like dreaming of what it could do. What would the spirit do if it was able to connect to a white city? If it was able to connect to, like, the great marble empires of the ancient world, right? Like, there's some elements to the ancient churches, like, that's, you know, the smells and all that, right? So with that, my friends, actually, it's coming along really good. We have week 4, spell number 7, to summon forth and augment the spirit. So be careful in your conjuring, my friends, and mind your allergies with this particular blend. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you at 2 p.m. for the Right in the Afternoon. There is going to be some fun stuff. I went through and did all of the numerology for the 72 spirits. So I'll demonstrate how to do general summons, non-specifically. And what do I mean by that is, I mean, yeah, you can conjure up the 72, or you can manufacture your own egregore, your own tulpa, your own thought form construct, using a blend like this to give it body and form, because you're connecting to the spirits, you're giving your desires form, you're giving your desire wishes, but you're not attaching any grave dirt to it. You're not attaching specific spirits of the dead to it. You're creating a channel in which natural energies can come together and form their own spirit. And so as we get into the manufacturing of our own spirits to create our own spell books, our own grimoires, so that way we can match the magic of Solomon, but we don't have to worry about all of the behaviors of the spirits and the jinn as it was linked to Solomon and that mythos, right? Like, we don't have to deal with that. We can create our own. We can develop our own. And as this gets more in depth with the spell a day, we're going to be able to see how that can be used. So I look forward to seeing you at 2. Stay tuned, my friends. Stay frosty. And I appreciate you. I look forward to seeing you in the comments as to what you get up to. So thank you all for very much for watching. And y'all be safe and don't be evil with the shit. Mind your allergies, folks. I will chat with you at 2.